Hey, we are live. Welcome in, everybody, for the good of all Cree.
For the good of all Cree.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Disney Movie Review. We do these every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Of course, it's myself, Mouse Talk, and my partner channel over here, Disney Dan. And today is the 1st of May, first week of May. And every month we try to do something a little bit different. We kind of do a top 10, something a little bit off the cuff from our normal Disney review. And this is the week. This is the week we're going to do that. And we're going to talk about our top 10 movie trilogies. And boy, are you guys in for a treat today. We're going to have a blast with this one. But before we get started, what's up, my man? How are you?
I'm doing really, really good. It's been super busy. It's getting warmer here in the UK, which is really nice. And lots of stuff coming around the corner. But before I even get started, I know you've probably celebrated this already, but 15,000 subscribers, dude. From the bottom of my heart, as a partner channel, as a friend, I've got to give a massive congrats to you and Melissa
Thank you
for all these hard years. And actually, guys, in the chat, you wouldn't believe this, but I have seen and been with Mouse Talk since before they even had 1,000. Yeah. I remember that you were on like 937 or something for like ages and ages and ages, and now just to see where we are now is just it's amazing. So couldn't be any more proud of you and Melissa for this incredible.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We enjoy it. We have a blast. I mean, it's a ton of fun doing the live streams at the parks. But I like I said last week, and I'll keep saying it till the end of days. There's something special about these home streams where we can, have friends on, connect, and it's a little bit more personal. It's a little bit more private. It's a little bit more intimate, whatever you want to call it. This is the way it used to always be back in the day.
Yeah,
and we all lived outside of Florida, and we all did our streams almost every night of the week. There was always somebody doing a stream.
And, it was action packed.
Yeah, it really was, and it was a blast doing it back then, and maybe we'll get back to that at some point.
Yeah,
but thank you, I appreciate that, Dan.
Of course.
And, of course, everybody, if you don't already know who Dan is, Disney Dan, you got to check him out. Former cast member, soon to be present husband to his fiance, which is right around the corner. I can't wait.
100 days tomorrow.
See, look, we're almost down to the double digits, and so be sure to check out Dan's channel. Of course, every other week we flip-flop. So next week it'll be on Dan's channel. Yep. You don't want to miss these. And Dan's got a whole playlist of our first 2 seasons of all our Disney movie reviews and special events we did. So be sure to check out Dan's channel. Mods, please share out Dan's link to his channel for sure. We got a lot to talk about. So let's get right into this. First off, let's do some quick mousekeeping. Of course, Dean over at The Live Place, theliveplace.com for family-friendly streams. Speaking of which, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., I will be on Dean's channel on YouTube at 7 p.m. as his group of his panel will be interviewing Melissa and I. They're going to give us all the Disney hard questions, fun questions. You can't miss that. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., The Live Place. Check out Dean. Our 4 partner channels, of course, this guy right here, Disney Dan. Check him out. Diz Our Dream, Pete McDevitt, Steve's World, all wonderful people. This guy right here is amazing too. And, of course, you got to check out his journey. I know he'll talk about it at the end about his podcast and his weight loss journey. Got to say hi to our members. Members, thank you for your extra generosity and loyalty. We have the best members out there. Of course, we also want to talk about our chat. But before we do chat, Dan, do we have a sponsor this week?
We do. And actually, this one is quite an interesting one. So as obviously it was about movie trilogies, this is all about this week about our favorite movie trilogies. I got a lovely phone call. Lovely is a good adjective for this phone call.
Really?
And forgive me, but they've asked me to read it from my mobile phone. So
okay, sure.
So this week's episode of the Disney Movie Review is sponsored by Trilogy Trifecta Tiramisu. Ever wondered what a movie trilogy tasted like? Well, here at the Corleone's Industries, we have, it was an action-packed dessert. It was, of course, 100 days to... What? Why have this... Can I just say, before I carry on with this, these devices here change everything about my messages. because it's just copy and pasted in something that this is going really off the script. What is going on here?
Our sponsor is not coming back. I can tell already.
Well, if it's the Corleones, then I'm.
Yeah, maybe Dan won't be coming back.
I don't know what's going on. Well, here at the Corleones Industries, we have come up with perfect tiramisu flavors that would get your horses' heads rushing in delight.
Oh, Lord.
Try out our first flavor, which is our famous Lambus bread flavor. You cannot pass on this precious delicacy. Our second and most famous flavor is our Vaderade, a tiramisu that will energize you as well as having a dark side tone to it. And finally, our newest flavor, the Cornetto flavor, a flavor so good that your mate Sean will rise from the dead, will have a bit of hot fuzz, and will be till the world's end. So come and check out our trilogy trifecta tiramisus, 3 for the price of 1, an offer you can't refuse. P.S. This sponsor made me say this sponsorship.
That's fantastic, man. I'm not even a big fan of tiramisu, but I'm going to try that. My goodness.
Yeah, we're kind of forced to.
Oh my God. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Dan, that was fantastic. I got to say hi to Keith BDF is here. Rachel's here. John Casamano, Dennis Algazi, Jersey Mike or Florida Mike. What's up, Mike? Karen W is here. Paul Engel, my man. Debbie Bernfeld. Alex Prince. Harry Lovell. Yvonne is here. Paul Engel. H7 is in the house. What's up, H7? Good to see you. Fonzarelli is here. Hey, Fonzarelli. What's up, the Fonz? Cynthia, Candy Mom, our first member. In the house. Let's see who else is here. Mark Langenkamp. There's Mark. What's up, Mark? Good to see you. And I think, let's see, we are up to date. For now, we are up to date. All right. So there you go, guys. Disney movie review, top 10 movie trilogies. Now, a little context for me, and then I'll ask Dan for his context. Yeah. Some of these are going to be in a movie franchise because they're going to have more than 3 movies. But for me, I may have picked a specific 3 that I say I liked to make it a trilogy. And so, be patient with us. Our idea of what a trilogy is might be different than you. So it may just not be that they have just 3 movies, but these 3 in it are the trilogy that I liked. So for what it's worth, that's how I came up with my list. What about you, Dan? Anything you want to any caveats?
Yeah, well, mine is pretty much similar. Mine are, again, 3 movies. It could be from all one franchise. The franchise could have more than 1 movie. I try and keep them in somewhat of a chronological order. So it could be the first 3 movies of a franchise. It might be the second, third, and fourth movie of a franchise. Mm-hmm. It could be anything like that. As long as it follows like a coherent storyline, that's kind of what I've gone for. But again, it could be so sort of open to so many different suggestions of what a trilogy could be. So, but I think just bear with us. It's basically 3 movies within a franchise.
Exactly.
That we love.
Exactly. But before we even get to our top 10, we're going to give you our honorable mentions first. Okay? Now, these are the ones that for us did not make our top 10. Good trilogies, good sequence of 3 movies maybe, but something about them didn't quite bring them into the top 10. Dan, you want to go first with your honorable mentions?
Sure. Now, when I was figuring out trilogies, people are going to really hate me for this. They're going to be like, I am going to unsubscribe to Dan immediately. I thought that for it to be a trilogy, all 3 movies have to be as good as the other. Right? Quite often the third film isn't as good in a lot of these franchises, but I've tried to keep it as consistent as possible. Which is why I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid right now. I'm going to say it right now. The Godfather is not on my list. It's not even on my honorable mentions list because that third film for me is the bar was set so high that Godfather Part 3 was never ever going to reach it. So for it to be a trilogy it didn't make my list. If you were talking about the top greatest films of all time, I'll put Godfather Part 1 and Part 2 up there any day. Mm-hmm. But for it to be a trilogy, it had to be consistently all three. And you're going to probably think, Dan, as soon as I tell you some of them that are on my list, you could be like, how can you put this garbage on my list and not the Godfather trilogy? So, it's my opinion. You can hate me, you can love me, or I'm doing this for comedy. It doesn't matter. Okay. Well,
I get it, Dan. I'm the same way with some of these. I'll tell you, to me, a lot of the ones that are on my honorable mention, you're right. There was one of them that was in this list that really made it weak enough that it falls off the top 10. So I'm with you 100% on this. Now, whether or not that means The Godfather falls off my list or not, I don't know. You'll have to wait. But here's you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm more intrigued than anything. But I think when people think about my list, and when I tell them my list, that all three films are as consistent. They are more consistent. They're not too far away from the third film or the second film that might be weaker. Like, they're all as good as each other. I know people are going to start hating me. I don't know. If you don't want to be friends with me anymore, it's fine. It's okay. But we
haven't even got to the list. This is just the honorable mentions.
I know, which is why on my honorable mentions list, I've got 4 honorable mentions.
Okay.
My first one is the recent Planet of the Apes films. So Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War of the Planet of the Apes. You could arguably say that these are 3 of the most consistent and brilliant films that I think have been released and really under the radar, like really underrated. And I really, really enjoy these films. That I didn't fall in love with them as much as others. But I would definitely check if you want the master Andy Serkis and his CGI just expertise. Like, go watch these recent Planet of the Apes films. I would then, my second honorable mention is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. So I put Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and then Spider-Man 3. I'd say Spider-Man 3. I would say they're all as coherent as each other. Spider-Man 3, again, just not as strong as the other two. You could arguably say that Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 are some of the greatest superhero films ever made.
Spider-Man 2 for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think both of them are as good as each other.
Oh, Spider-Man 1 is great. Spider-Man 2 is a top 5 comic book movie of all time.
100%. 100%. My third honorable mention, we are going to go way, way back. We're going to be diving into Sean Connery's acting history. The first 3 James Bond films. So Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Thunderball. They are just such great ways to introduce such a brilliant character to the movie screens. Like, he is just brilliant. Like, if you haven't seen films like From Russia with Love, just go out and watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. And then my final one, now if you know me, which I know, Walt, you do know me, but a few other people in the chat, if you know me, I am a big fan.
Hi, Alex.
And you're going to really hate me because people could be like, how could you put this on your list and not The Godfather? I've chosen The Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
But more specifically, I've chosen Fast 5, which I think is the best Fast and Furious film. Fast and Furious 6, which I think is super underrated. And Fast and Furious 7, which is the second best Fast and Furious film. Like, these are just dumb fun, hilarious, just so... It's meant to be tongue-in-cheek. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to be ridiculous. You have a good time watching it. You're not going to come out of the film and say that was a masterpiece, but you are going to have a smile on your face because it's just so absurd. So, but they're all as good as each other. So that's why I chose Fast and Furious 5 through 7.
Okay. All right. Well, here's what I'll say. So that's your 4, right?
That's my 4 honorable mentions.
All right. And these are honorable mentions. So these are ones that almost make the list, guys. So that's a good list. Look, Fast and Furious wouldn't have made mine. The Apes didn't make mine for sure.
You didn't say Bond. You didn't say Bond.
I got to admit, I didn't, because there were so many different Bond movies. I almost put the first three of Daniel Craig in
Daniel
here.
Craig.
I almost did, because Skyfall and Casino Royale are so amazing. But
Quantum of Solace.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant. Quantum of Solace. See, I didn't like that one. I like Casino Royale. Quantum of Solace was just so bad.
Yeah.
So for me, so my first one for me is Aliens. Aliens are fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Aliens is one of the best thrilling sci-fi movies ever. The second one, but Alien 3
is one of the
Alien, the first one, for its time was groundbreaking.
Great horror
with Ridley Scott, and but Alien 3 was not good at all. For me, this is where The Godfather falls. I got to agree with Dan. It does make my honorable. See,
I've got them all here. So
The Godfather makes my honorable mention, but I got to agree with Dan. As great as 1 and 2 are, 3 is just that underwhelming for me.
Yeah.
So I can't put it in my top 10. John Wick. The first 3 John Wicks. Very good movies.
Very good.
Not good enough of a storyline. I mean, it's the same thing over and over, but it's entertaining. It's fun. I like them, but it's not enough to be in that top 10.
You made me miss films. You made me miss one that was on my honorable mentions, but yeah.
What's that?
I was going to say The Matrix, leading off from John Wick.
There you go.
But you said Terminator.
Terminator 1, Terminator 2, great movies.
Unbelievable.
But the third one, I'm not a big fan of the third ones. No. Now, these next 2 you guys are really going to be surprised with. Well, this one you won't. Superman. Christopher Reeve's Superman. Superman and Superman 2 are great. Superman 3, terrible. Richard Pryor. But the first 2 are absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, this is the one I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with, because it's just something about that first one. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And that's the Avengers trilogy. Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame. Those 3. Now, Infinity War and Endgame, great movies. But the first Avengers, I was actually underwhelmed by that movie. So that's why those are my honorable mentions. Aliens, Godfather, John Wick, Terminator, Avengers, Superman. I got to say hi to Dougie.
Hey,
Dougie's in the house. What's up, Dougie? Good to see you. So that's mine. Can't find milk in space. No one can hear you scream.
No, here's use cream. That's what he said. No,
or did you hit your head? Cynthia, you'll see my list. You might agree with my list a little bit more. But again, these are all great trilogies. They're just they kind of stubbed their toe in one of them somewhere. So
yeah.
There you go. That's my honorable list. Yeah. So Daniel, let's start. I'm the only person in the world that calls him Daniel, by the way, everybody. I was going to sing the, what is it? The Elton John song, Daniel, my brother. Anyway, but you're younger than me. You're not.
You don't want to get copyrighted for singing.
No, I don't.
Daniel from Elton John. Shall I kick things off?
We should. Number 10 for you, my man.
Okay. If people are not already angry with me now, they're going to be even more angry with me now. There is a movie trilogy that I used to. This is more just me and my love for this particular movie trilogy as a child. And obviously, being a huge Disney fan and Star Wars fan and all these different fan groups and that kind of stuff, there was one other fandom that I really, really loved. And now this is definitely more of a millennial thing. Though there were people older than me who were still big fans. There's definitely more my generation. For me, as a 9-10-year-old kid, all I wanted to do was to catch them all with my Pokemon cards.
Okay.
So I chose.
Go ahead.
So I chose Pokemon, the first movie, its sequel, Pokemon 2000, and Pokemon 3. And you're like, Dan, have you lost your blithering mind? Are you kidding me?
What's up,
You
Nick?
chose these 3 straight to DVD garbage films over The Godfather. Are you having a joke? See here, everybody. Here's the thing. When you love a particular thing as a child, you are always going to love that particular thing. You may have not even seen these films. It doesn't matter.
It's subjective. Look, this whole thing is subjective. You're not wrong. This is your opinion. I totally get it.
Listen, when our main protagonist,
what's up, AD?
Ash Ketchum gets shot down and murdered while all the Pokemon are surrounding him, tearing up, and he's brought back to life. Spoiler alert, everybody. I mean, that stuff really empowers you. And, just the whole sort of the way people live, man and Pokemon come together, in true harmony. It just shows the real love of humanity and how we should all be living in this one world with man and creature. And, in the second film, we get sort of helping sort of our skies and the environment. And our third one is all about mystery and love of the animal life and world. Listen, if you haven't seen it, or if you know sort of children of your grandchildren or children or who are big Pokemon fans, go watch it. Just take some time. This is the whole point of the Disney movie reviews. Go out and watch films that you've never even seen before. Listen, this is This is why I'm big fans of films like the Tinkerbell movie, because that, I feel like it's a good movie.
It was. It got good reviews.
So
all right, so number 10, Pokemon. That's didn't make my list. Sorry.
You know what? I'm going to make a separate box, and I'm going to put films that you've never seen before, and we're going to.
There'll be a lot in there. All right. Well, I'll bring things back to a little bit of sanity here. My number 10. My number 10 trilogy. It's actually got more than 3, but the first 3, again, are really good. That third one is a little bit of a downer, but the first 2 are just so good for me that it makes number 3 good enough. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ooh, interesting.
That first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, when it came out, I had no idea what to expect. We went to the movie theater. Johnny Depp was amazing. Orlando Bloom was incredible. Keira Knightley was beautiful. Captain Barbossa, Jeffrey Rush was scary and awesome. It was just the coolest thing ever. They knocked it out of the park. And then they followed it up with Dead Man's Chest, which is still my favorite of all the Pirates movies. It's the second one, especially the trailer. Go watch the trailer for Dead Man's Chest. One of the best trailers ever. And then the third one, At World's End, still a good movie. Not as good as the first 2, but still good. They could have stopped right there, and it would have been enough for me. Pirates of the Caribbean, number 10 on my list. Love this trilogy. Those first 2 are just unbelievable, and the third one's not bad.
I have probably rewatched this series more times than any other series. And it didn't make my list.
Really?
It didn't make my list.
Okay.
I would say the first Pirates is my favorite, followed by At World's End. But out of the 3, Dead Man's Chest, I find quite... It's that Godfather Part 3 for me. I find it very underwhelming.
Really? Oh my God. See, that was my favorite of them. Yeah. I love the bad guy. I thought Davy Jones was a great bad guy. I don't know. I really, the sacrifice at the end, I don't know. I really enjoyed the second one.
I don't know.
Not the sacrifice. The sacrifice at the end, and then the surprise at the end with Barbossa. I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. I don't know. I loved it. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know why I've been back and forth on these two, this trilogy, and I decided not to.
I gotta disagree with you there. Keira Knightley's fine. But I thought Orlando Bloom as Will Turner was very good. I thought his chemistry with Captain Jack Sparrow was fantastic. I actually enjoyed his character. I mean, he's a supporting character. He's not the main guy. It's all about Captain Jack in this. I know the first story is of his story, but I actually enjoy Orlando Bloom. he might come up later. Who knows? But I don't know. I thought he was good in it. I didn't mind. He doesn't ruin it for me. He doesn't.
Keira Knightley makes it better for me. So yeah.
Yes. All right. You got a number 9 for us?
I do have a number 9, and again goes back to my childhood, but it's not as wacky as my number 10, by the way. We just rewatched this trilogy, and I've kind of split it up a little bit to get the most out of this entire franchise. It's a Marvel property, and it is, for me, the original team that I fell in love with as a kid, and that's the X-Men. So, but this is not X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3.
Okay.
For me, it's X-Men 2, called X-Men United. I think continuing, because it's kind of like a continued storyline, because it does involve the other characters. X-Men Days of Future Past with the newer characters. And then finally, sort of the best way to finish off this story is Logan. And the reason why I've chosen these 3 is because if you really break it down, this really follows Logan's story. So you got a lot of X-Men 2. It's all about Logan and Stryker and you know, how he sort of his backstory and how he got the adamantium. And we're not talking about X-Men Origins Wolverine, because that's a terrible film. But really, X-Men 2 was really when we first started to really delve into the depths of the Logan character. And then in Days of Future Past, we really sort of we're put into Logan's shoes, trying to sort of help Charles and Eric sort of deal with the issue of the Sentinels and Mystique. And then finally, Logan, sort of the end of Wolverine's life. And it's kind of, I kind of sort of dubbed this as the actual Logan trilogy. Instead of watching X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine and Logan, that trilogy I just don't like. It's sort of the ones I've chosen. So X-Men 2, Days of Future Past, and Logan for me. So that's my X-Men number 9 trilogy. Don't know what you think.
X-Men didn't make my list. I'm sorry, guys. I might be the only one in here. I might be the only person on the face of the earth. Logan, I wasn't a big fan of the movie Logan. I'm sorry. Part of it for me was it was just so depressing. The entire movie, there was no bright spot in that entire movie. Everybody dies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Spoiler. It's been out for years. Everybody dies. That movie was so depressing. I watched it one time, and I swore I'd never watch it again. I didn't cry. It was just depressing. I was like, good Lord, this is... What am I watching here? I felt like I'm glad I wasn't near a cliff. I probably would have jumped. It wasn't a bad movie. The acting's really good, but it just was depressing as heck. I'll say heck. Oh, I couldn't. I'll never watch that movie. I loved it. It was just so depressing. Every aspect of that movie, it was like, this person dies, this person's killed, this person, this. I'm like, is there anybody that's gonna? And the little girl, to me, I didn't know enough about her to really care for her.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's me. I'm rambling. Great picks. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Days of Future Past, love that movie. X-Men United, great movie. Logan's a great movie. It's just too depressing for me. I no thanks.
Have I redeemed myself from my number 10 pick?
I think for some you have.
All right, your number 9 then.
My number 9. I really like this trilogy. And again, it's got a 4th movie in it, but I think the first 3 are tons of fun. And again, it's something that at the time I didn't really know what to make of it until I went into it. Tons of action, tons of fun, tons of one-liners, tons of Bruce Willis. Die Hard. The first Die Hard movie was unlike anything we had ever seen in movies before. The second one is actually a really good one too. I actually like the one at the airport. I really thought that one was cool. And then the third one was Samuel L. Jackson, Die Hard with a Vengeance, was a revenge movie dating back to the first movie. The bad guy was the brother of the original bad guy in the first one. I loved that. I thought it was really neat. They incorporated New York in there. I think the Die Hard trilogy is now that fourth one with Timothy Olyphant. As much as I like him, that wasn't a very good movie. But those first three, even that third one with Samuel L. Jackson, I thought they were really good movies. 1 and 2 are amazing, and I thought 3 was very good. So Die Hard makes it for me. That makes my number 9.
It didn't make my list.
Interesting. Okay.
I think for me, because Die Hard is so good, I felt like the other two. This is kind of like The Matrix for me. The first one is so good. The other two were just weren't as good for me. So, shall I move on to my number 8?
Please, yes, number 8.
Now, I would be baffled if you do not have this on your list. And I would be shocked. And a lot of people have been suggesting this in the chat. And it's not because you guys suggested it's on my list. It just so happens it's on my list. And for me, number 8 is the 3 best films as a trilogy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is the Captain America group of films.
Okay.
So Captain America, the First Avenger, The Winter Soldier, and Civil War. Civil War, for me, is the best Marvel film. Agree to disagree with other people, but Civil War, for me, is still to this day a film that I can see 2 sides of an argument with. Winter Soldier is unbelievable. Like, it's definitely in my top 5. And then I think The First Avenger, again, is if you rewatch it, I think it's so much better than what people give it for. Even though Captain America is not, unlike you, not my favorite Marvel hero out of all of them, he's up there with one of my favorites, but not my absolute favorite. But you cannot deny his movies are fantastic. And you could just watch the 3 in a row and have a great time, and you can't go wrong with it. So Captain America trilogy is my number 8.
Very good pick. Very good pick. Well, I'm going to move on to my number 8. And this, again, is a trilogy where the first one, first off, is groundbreaking. The second one is pretty good, and the third one is actually pretty good. But it has to make my list because the music is amazing. The special effects are unbelievable. The characters are wonderful. Jurassic Park.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Jurassic Park makes the list for me. That first movie was groundbreaking back when it came out. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen. The second one, The Lost World, the more I watch it, the more I enjoy it with Jeff Goldblum. And then the third one, back with Sam Neill, and William H. Macy is in it, Téa Leoni is in it. I actually enjoyed that movie too. Jurassic Park makes the list for me. It's
even when he's on the plane and he sees the raptor that goes, Alan.
Yeah, that's because he's dreaming.
yeah, but
I don't know. All right. I mean, if you cut out 3 seconds of that. The rest of the movie is pretty good to me. I don't know. I really enjoy Jurassic Park. The more I like the second one at first time I watched the second one, The Lost World, I wasn't a big fan. Part of it is because I'm not a big fan. I don't like Julianne Moore at all. I can't stand her. I can't stand her characters. I don't like her. But I can get past her the more I watch the movie itself. I actually liked it. So, yeah, Jurassic Park for me.
Well, I like the fact that you brought this up because if there's one trilogy that I cannot stand is the Jurassic World trilogy. So the newer films, they are I would rather watch 50 Shades of Grey trilogy than the Jurassic World trilogy.
I agree. They're terrible.
They are just awful. I just can't. It's almost an insult to the Jurassic Park films. So
they are not terrible. It's like you're gonna have to have you on here one time. I need to understand what it is that constitutes a good movie for you. We'll talk about that when you get here. Dougie's coming, by the way. We're gonna have dinner with him.
I kind of agree. Well, I kind of half agree with Dougie. I think The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, look, they are nowhere near as good as the original.
Of course not. Exactly.
I think they're good. I can enjoy them. I can watch them and enjoy them. If they're brilliant or not, doesn't matter to me. The fact that there are dinosaurs, that's all that matters to me.
Exactly.
Right.
Number 7.
I've gone really Indie, obscure here. That wasn't a hint.
Oh, here we go.
Really obscure. But I think these three films, I did actually hinted it in the sponsor. These three films, and I've got my prop here. They are, I think, some of the best films, comedies, actions I think ever made. And it is the Cornetto trilogy.
Hi, Deb.
So the Cornetto trilogy is a trilogy that is directed and starred by Simon Pegg, actor Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost. And these films, and they have no relation to each other. They are Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End.
That's not a trilogy. They've got to be related.
No, they are related. They
How?
are absolutely related because they're all, firstly, they come in a lovely, nice box set. And the reason why they're called the Cornetto trilogy is because it's firstly, it stars all the same actors. And two, in every film, they eat an ice cream cornetto. It's like a hidden reference. Hence why it's called the Cornetto trilogy, because there is an ice cream here. It's kind of like an ice cream with a cone and sort of a chocolate-filled bottom. It's called it's a cornetto, and in each film, Simon Pegg or Nick Frost has a lovely ice cream cornetto cone.
See,
and
now,
that's why they call it the Cornetto trilogy.
Now, see, Dougie, now I get it, Dougie. Now I know where your mind is with this, and now it makes sense. Now I'm not going to pay attention to you. Because now Dougie agrees with you. It's definitely a trilogy.
It is
absolutely,
it is absolutely a trilogy, and that not only are they fantastic films, and they have nothing to do with each other.
Nick, Simon Pegg is in Star Trek. Should we add him? Should we add it to the trilogy?
No, because Nick Frost is not in it.
No, but that's not what he says. It's related because Simon Pegg's in it. I'm just bringing up the Simon Pegg thing. Simon Pegg's in. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one I forgot about till just now.
But
anyway, so the Cornetto trilogy.
That you need to see these films.
I've seen them. I've seen them all.
Oh, I'm saying, so is the camera. I know you've seen these.
I've seen them, but I just don't consider them.
Yeah, they are all a trilogy, all directed by Edgar Wright. They are all sort of worked together, and they don't have any sort of relation to each other except for this ice cream. And that's it.
Okay.
Fight me on it.
Oh, well, not tonight, but we will. Anyway, all right, number 7 for me, I'm going to go and dip my toe in the animation world.
Ooh.
And this is, to me, I think the best trilogy animated Pixar of all time, and it's Toy Story.
On my list.
Toy Story 1 is unbelievable. Toy Story 2 is okay. I like it. I enjoy it. But Toy Story 3 may be one of the best trilogy endings of all trilogy endings. How they ended the third one was so wonderful. I haven't cried like that since another trilogy, which will be coming up later. I loved how they ended it on 3. They should have stayed at 3. They didn't. They ruined it. But Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 were so fun, so heartfelt, so emotional. The characters are great. The stories were always great. And they just knocked it out of the park with the third one. So Toy Story makes a list for me. Number 7.
It is on my list. It's a little further up. Just a tad.
Okay. All right. Bayou Bengal, welcome in. Good to have you here.
So maybe we'll come back to that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's my number 7. What is your number 6 there, young man?
So number 6. Well,
Horizons.
We spoke about these films not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Part of our Harrison Ford episode, which I definitely recommend everybody go to watch. Again, the episode is in the playlist on my YouTube channel. It is, of course, the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Okay.
Because the fourth one does not exist to me.
Agreed.
So, obviously, I'm not going to reiterate everything that I said 2 weeks ago. But listen.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to read what he says.
He said, I would like Walt to know that I agree with what he is saying, and since he has decided my opinions are terrible, Now he has to hate them. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, well, I'm still getting shtick about saying Pokemon as my number 10.
I know.
No, but Indiana Jones, I mean, come on. Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of the greatest films ever made. Temple of Doom, a brilliant film. Maybe not as good as the first and third one. And then Last Crusade, again, just as good as the first. I mean, it's just a exciting adventure. You know, this is what adventure style filmmaking is all about. It is Spielberg at his best. It is just such a wonderful trilogy, and Indiana Jones, it has to be on the list, and it has to be my number 6. So yeah, I had to pick Indiana Jones for number 6.
Very, very good. Well, my number 6 is, again, I think one of the best trilogies out there. Again, all of these, for me, their first movie is really kind of groundbreaking and something that was just a phenomenon. And this one is no different. It's a time movie. It stars a DeLorean.
By the way, this is my next one. This is my next one, so we can talk about it. Okay.
Okay. And it's Back to the Future. I'm sorry. Back to the Future is just, first off, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, even Biff Tannen, who's guy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, who is such a wonderfully nice person in real life. Absolutely amazing in real life. Is such a great actor. Leah Thompson. I'm telling you, Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 are just so much fun. So great. Again, a nice fitting ending on the third one. I'm glad they haven't gone back and done a fourth one. They left it at the trilogy. It was smart. It ended nice. And Back to the Future, just love these movies. Love them.
I mean, talk about the quotes in this film.
Oh, it's so many.
1.21 gigawatts, or, you know.
What the heck is a gigawatt?
You're telling me you got a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Yeah. Thomas F. Wilson.
There you go.
He's been on Adam the Woo's channel a couple of times. I guess Adam is actually friends with him. And he is so funny and so nice. I'm sorry, I love Back to the Future.
It's just, I mean, that's my number 5. Again, Back to the Future is just.
Ducky, you're not listening. We said that in the beginning. It doesn't actually have to be a trilogy to us. Is any 3 that we pick.
He wasn't here at the start. Fashionably late.
And obviously he somewhat agrees with that, because guess what? He agreed with you on the muffaletta thing, or whatever it was you said.
The muffaletta, the cornetto.
Cornetto, whatever. All right, keep going.
But Back to the Future is one of the few trilogies that we know of that literally just continues straight. It's like a TV episode. You literally, as soon as you finish one movie, you literally pick it up on the next film. Like, as soon as it finishes, it recaps 10 seconds of the previous film, and you move forward. And it's just so well done.
Aren't they? I'm telling you, they are really well done, and the actors are just fantastic. And they keep the same actors throughout all 3 films, and yet it still works every time. Biff Tannen is the bad guy in all 3 of them, but it works every single time.
Do you know which actor did not reprise the role in the second film?
Yeah, it's his girlfriend.
Yeah.
What's her name? Took it over. The big actress from Cobra Kai. I can't think of her name.
I've never seen that.
Anyway, what? Really? Oh my God, you're missing out. Anyway,
I barely just watched Karate Kid. But no.
Yeah, from Karate Kid, she took over. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. Back to the Future, Dan. Good number 5.
So good. Right, so that was my number 5. So we're back to you for number 5.
Well, my number 5 was already on your list. My number 5 is Indiana Jones.
So literally we swapped 5 and 6 together.
Yeah, we did. Indiana Jones, to me, again, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, was unlike anything we really had ever seen before. The opening scene with him in the African or South American jungle with the boulder is just, what a great way to start a movie. Temple of Doom, I'm not the biggest fan because I think it's a little too gross for me at times, like the at the dinner table and the bugs, unnecessary to me. But the film itself is fine. And Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade, again, if they had ended it right there, he literally rides off into the sunset at the end of the movie. And yet they had to have number 4. He literally rides off into the sunset at the end of the third one with his dad and his best friends, and they win, and they can't leave it there.
Nope.
I don't get it. But anyway, those 3, such great films. Indiana Jones is one of the most iconic characters of all time. I mean, Harrison Ford has 2 of the most iconic characters of all time. But
yeah,
Indiana Jones for me. I just love the films. Can watch them over and over and over and over. They're just amazing.
They are amazing.
They are. That's my number 5. Daniel, number 4.
My number 4. Well, I'm gonna jump back to one of yours, and
thank you, Melissa.
I'm gonna pick
Elizabeth Shue is the
Elizabeth
girl.
Shue.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Toy Story.
Okay.
Talk about a trilogy that is perfect in a way that every film is as good as each other. Some people, I think a lot of people will agree that number 3 is the best, but for me, it will always be the best is number 1. For me, the second one is my second favorite. I used to watch it all the time as a child, and I still think it always resonates a lot to me. I mean, that opening scene in Toy Story 2 where Buzz is flying through sort of space and going through all these traps set by Zurg. We find out that it's actually Ham controlling Buzz on a computer game. And he goes, no. Oh, I'm never going to defeat Zurg. No, it was Rex, not Ham. Right. And then even right at the end, so many Star Wars references when Zurg goes, no, I am your father. Like, it's fantastic. And then Toy Story 3, again, under Toy Story 2, it's a really fantastic film. Again, like you said, one of the greatest endings of a trilogy with Andy riding off into the sunset. The story is over. Listen, Toy Story 4, I'd say, is just as good as the others, but I don't think it was needed. But here's the thing. Toy Story, fantastic films. Absolutely love it. And that's why I put it at number 4.
Great. All right. I hated number 4. I thought it was terrible for me. Just didn't unnecessary. Brought nothing to the story. Unnecessary. Yeah, it brought nothing to the story of the entire thing. Anyway, my number 4. I almost went in a different direction with this, but this might be, to me, it is probably one of the greatest trilogies I've ever seen that just, to me, got better and better as the movies went on. The first one was great. The second one, most people consider the best of the trilogy. And the third one, to me, is actually one of my favorites, and I think it gets a bad rap.
You're going to say it. Oh!
It's the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman, the Christopher Nolan films. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises. Wow. Just a great, great trilogy of movies that tell a great story that, again, the third one reverts back to the first one, kind of like Die Hard does, with the villain kind of on a revenge to avenge someone from the first villain. These movies are just fantastic. Love the ending of the third one. Again, brought tears to my eyes at first when I'm sitting there and I'm like, he can't kill Batman. He can't die. And then when he sits down at the end in Italy and he looks over and he's there, and it's just, I love these films. The second one, The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker is by far the best ever done. Jack Nicholson's was fantastic as well. It was just different. His was more of a comedic one. Heath Ledger's was more of a serious one. This is my trilogy, The Dark Knight. What's up, Steve? Welcome in Stardio Studios.
Hi.
Anything you want to say?
Well, I was going to say my number 3.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Well, my number 3 is a group of films that I would say are near enough perfect. The first film is I think, just so criminally underrated of how amazing it is. The second film is in my top 3 favorite films of all time. And the third film is so often hit by criticism. And I think it's just such a great film. And my number 3 is the Dark Knight trilogy.
You were there too. Okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I think these films are a masterpiece.
Hey, George.
This is Christopher Nolan's. He's done so many incredible films. He's done Interstellar. He's done Inception. He's done Tenet, which he did not too long ago, which I definitely recommend. But the Dark Knight trilogy is just so well done in every sense. It makes it feel so real. Because the DC universe is set, Gotham and Metropolis and Star City, all these cities that aren't on Earth. Well, they are on Earth, but they're fake cities. But these are as close to realism as possible. I mean, it is realism because in the second film, they go to Hong Kong. So, there is such realism to it. And I think that's what Christopher Nolan did so well. The first film, Batman Begins, just a real great way of retelling Bruce Wayne's story. The Dark Knight Returns, the third one, there's so much criticism on the characters and Bane and how it sort of ended. And I just think that is so criticized because of how good the second one is. And the second film, and I'm going to say it right now, the second film, The Dark Knight, the second film is the greatest superhero film ever made by a country mile.
Okay.
I think it's better than Endgame. I think it's better than Spider-Man 2. I think it's better than any superhero film.
It's up there for me. It's not my favorite. I don't think it's the best all time for me, but it's definitely up there.
I think it's a perfect superhero film. There's a beginning,
and I think for me, since it was number 4 for me and it's number 3 for you, I'll go back to one thing. I don't like that people criticize the third one because Batman. If I hear one more person say, "Oh, he should have died," why does the good guy have to die to win? Why can't he win and go off into the sunset? I think that's the most, pardon me, I'm going to say this, asinine thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh, Han Solo should have died in the... Now, why do they have to die? Why can't the good guy win and live and ride off into the sunset?
You don't need a heroic sacrifice.
But you don't always have to have that to win. You don't have to sacrifice all the time to win. Maybe you're just better in the end or smarter or do the right thing. Oh, I heard that so much when that movie came out, and I'm like, why? Why does he have to die? It's dumb to me. I'm sorry if anybody takes offense to that, but that's just.
I totally agree.
I never understand that. I've had so many people say, "Well, this person should have died." Why? Does it make it better? It doesn't make it better. Not to me.
Now, before you get to your number 3, there are 2 franchises in my mind that I know you're going to pick. But I'm boggling my mind of what the other one could be, and I have no idea. So maybe it is your number 3. I don't know what it is.
Well, now
the other 2 I can pretty guess.
Gotcha. Well, my number 3, as a kid, was my favorite of all time, and things have changed over the years. But I think it was the greatest original trilogy as a child that I ever saw in my entire life, and I was at the movie theaters for all of them, and they just blew me away. It was again groundbreaking, unlike anything we had ever seen at the time. Some of the greatest characters, some of the greatest lines, some of the greatest effects, and probably the single greatest villain ever.
Yeah.
And that's Star Wars. And that's number 3 for me. So the 2 that are ahead of it are really good. And we'll get to those. I don't know. The original Star Wars, A New Hope, which back when I was a kid, it wasn't called that. It was just called Star Wars. A New Hope was in the crawl, but it wasn't what it was called. It was just called Star Wars. What a great film. What a great way to start. That first time you ever see Darth Vader come out. Just all the characters are amazing and they're wonderful. And it's so tense at the end. Do you think, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? And Han Solo saves the day. Technically, he does. And then Empire Strikes Back, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. What a great twist. Just fantastic. And Return of the Jedi, which I think is a highly underrated film. And I love Star Wars. Star Wars is that original 3 to me as a kid I was so in love with them, and I had all the toys. I had everything, and I'll never forget being in the movie theater. It's making me tear up thinking about it. When Darth Vader dies in the end, but he's redeemed. Just great. Loved it.
Which is why it's my number 2. Yeah. Similar to you. I mean, obviously, I wasn't there for the movie experiences of the originals, but I still had that sort of similar feeling with the prequels and the sequels. But for me, Star Wars will always be the original 3. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Now, when I was growing up with these films, I had the special editions that George Lucas had created. Not the originals. Oh. They were the ones that were slightly redone.
Hey, Chris.
Not to the ones that are completely redone now. Even the ones I watched when I was a child were still a lot different to what we got now. And Star Wars will always be my favorite movie franchise of all time. If we're talking about franchises, it'll always be my favorite. Even going to Galaxy's Edge opening day.
Me too, Mark.
I was crying. I was absolutely crying because this is what I loved as a child. Like, this is, I always wanted to be Luke Skywalker fighting against Darth Vader. It's just that amazing experience. Even like right now, at home at 28 years old, going onto my Xbox and playing Star Wars Battlefront, those old classic Star Wars games. Like, there's something that resonates me as a child. And watching these films, watching A New Hope, which is a masterpiece, The Empire Strikes Back, arguably my top 3 favorite films of all time. And then my favorite film as a child, Return of the Jedi, which I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, that, who doesn't want a lightsaber fight, of a space battle, and a battle between men and little teddy bears all at the same time? Who doesn't want that?
It's the God's honest truth.
Who doesn't want it? It's just amazing, and
hey, Strasbourg River.
I love everything about the original trilogy.
I do too. It's the characters are just are just really well developed throughout all the films. I'm so glad that they didn't kill any of the main heroes in this. I didn't think we needed to sacrifice one of them. I love the fact that Darth Vader gets his redemption in the end, and his son is there who basically saves him and helps him to be redeemed. They're just fantastic. I love those films. I'm sorry. I can't. I remember coming out of the movie theater in 1983 after we saw Return of the Jedi, and everybody had tears coming down their face from that film, and they were all like, "Wow, what an ending! What a great way to go out!" And Star Wars number for me, number 3. Now, that was your number 2.
Yes. Now, before you get to number 2, I've known you for 5-6 years, maybe longer. I know perfectly well what your number 1 is, which I'm not going to say.
It's your number 1 too, I'm sure.
But I am baffled I'm lost of what it could be. What is your number 2?
It's you've already said it.
Is it one of my honorable mentions?
No, but I'll get there in a second. Let me explain why it makes my number 2.
Oh, I know what it is.
This comic book character, second to Batman, is my favorite comic book character, and is extremely well played by the actor who plays it. I love this character, and these movies are the best. The first one is very good. The second and third are 2 of the best in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, period. And I think Winter Soldier is my favorite of all time. It's the Captain America trilogy. First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Civil War. Civil War is so hard for me to watch sometimes when he's fighting Iron Man. That's a hard thing to watch, but it's so well done. And Winter Soldier is a game changer. It turns the entire thing, the MCU, upside down with what it does with S.H.I.E.L.D., this, that, and the other. What a great, great, great movie. To me, it's right up there with The Dark Knight as one of the best comic book movies ever made. because of the way it's what it's about. It's about the good guys being infiltrated by the bad guys, and it just turns everything upside down. What a great movie! Captain America series, those three trilogies are my favorite. They're better than the Iron Man trilogy. Sorry, it is better than the Thor trilogy. They're better than the Avengers 3 or 4 or whatever, in my opinion. Not that those aren't good. That's high praise because they're all really good. Captain America, those three, to me, that's number 2.
You didn't say Ant-Man.
No, I didn't say Ant-Man. Nope, I didn't. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, Iron Man doesn't make it for me because 2 and 3 are meh to me. I mean, they're fine, but they're meh.
Iron Man 3 is my least favorite Marvel film.
And see, for me, it's 2.
See, I don't mind 2. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. At least we get some Iron Man in it. In Iron Man 3, we get very little Iron Man.
Yeah, it's more about Tony. Yeah.
Which I don't like, we see Tony all the time in all the films. I want to see him, shooting things with his laser beams and things.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I rip off the Band-Aid of what our number 1 is?
Well, let me just preface this. I knew nothing about these books. In 2001, I'm just going to tell you a quick story. I knew nothing about these books. I knew absolutely nothing about this first movie. It was a Friday night. It was 10 o'clock at night. And Melissa and I, well, it was 9 o'clock at night. Melissa and I were like, we're bored. We want to do something. And we were like, let's go to the movies. What are we going to see?
Wait, what films are you talking about? I was thinking 50 Shades of Grey.
No, wasn't that.
They were books too.
Well, not these. These are better books.
No, I'm joking.
But I'm telling you, we're there and we're like, what are we going to go see? And we're looking. And I said to her, well, what about this movie here? Oh my gosh, it's a 3-hour movie. But what is it called? It's called The Lord of the Rings. And we went into that film and I walked out and I said to Melissa, holy, you know what? That was unbelievable. The 3 hours went like that. I looked at her and I said, it's over? They can't end it right there. I got to wait a year for the next one? And it was unbelievable. It was written so well. The effects, the cinematography, the characters, the story, the music, everything about that film. And then they went into Two Towers. And then they knocked it out of the park like anybody ever could by sweeping the Oscars with Return of the King, probably my favorite film of all time. To me, what can I say about The Lord of the Rings?
They're perfect. It is.
It's about as close as you can get.
Trilogy. It's the perfect trilogy. There is no criticism of this film, of these trilogy. The only criticism that these films get are the fact that these people are going around saying, oh, these films are too long. The only reason they say that is because they haven't seen them. It's true. And they haven't sat down and watched them. They may have just been on the sofa and it might have been on the television. They got through half of it and then they've gone to make a cup of coffee. Then they've gone to do this. Then they've gone to do that. But if you sat down and you watched The Fellowship of the Ring, you then go into the Two Towers. It gets a little bit darker. You get to see Isengard and you get to see more of this world, like the Ents and Treebeard, and you get to see Rohan and Helm's Deep. And then you move into
Minas Tirith.
Then you go to Return of the King and Minas Tirith. And
Minas Morgul and Barad-dûr and Mount Doom. And oh my God, it's just
you get the iconic scenes of the Rohirrim charging down against the orcs in Minas Tirith.
At Pelennor Fields, yeah.
You get the iconic scene of, we talked about this last week or the week before, of Aragorn turning around to his small group of troops saying, "For Frodo," and charging at the gates of Mordor. And even just there's just so much, and I've said this for years and years, however long I've been doing YouTube, that there's this one scene in The Lord of the Rings that, even I talk about it now, always makes me cry. And it's at the end when the hobbits are in Minas Tirith and Aragorn has just been crowned king. And he walks up to the hobbits, the 4 hobbits, and he goes, "My friends, you bow to nobody." And you just see this city bow and get on their knees and make these little hobbits the tallest people, the most proudest people in Middle Earth.
But you have to remember, there's a reason why that happens, though. Obviously, because, and it goes back to the prologue of the first movie. Yeah. When Kate Blanchett, Galadriel, is giving the prologue of the history of everything. Mm-hmm. And the last thing before we start the film, she says, "The time will come when hobbits will shape the fortunes of all." And it's the truth. And that's why in the end, who saves everybody? All these big fights, all these great warriors and kings and villains fighting each other. It all comes down to 2 little hobbits who saved the day. Even though in the end he kind of failed. He really didn't do it. It happened by chance, but he got it there. And the 2 hobbits saved the day. They could have fought forever, but if that ring doesn't go in Mount Doom, they don't win. They lose. I agree. There's so many great lines in that film. I mean, where do you begin? But it's just like anything else. I love them. There's just so many great lines in that movie.
I know some people in the chat were upset that this is not the extended edition, but I've seen the extended edition more than I've seen the theatrical. So don't worry. I'm as big of a Lord of the Rings fan as it comes. I would say this guy is even more of a bigger fan than me, but these films are unbelievable. They are just really well directed, well written, well acted. Everything. There's really nothing that I can say. The score is great. The cinematography is wonderful. The sets, they used a lot of practical sets on these films. You've even got Ned Stark in this film.
Oh, it's fantastic. Sean Bean is fantastic.
He dies in every film, doesn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah. So there you go, folks. That's our list. I'm sorry. I don't think that it's going to be very difficult for anything ever to beat The Lord of the Rings. It's a masterpiece, and the Academy Awards prove it. There you go. That's our list. Dan, you want to go over your list real fast?
Sure, very quickly.
Number 10 on down.
It's just not the honorable mentions, just the 10s, yeah? Okay, so number 10, sorry everybody, the first 3 Pokemon movies. So Pokemon 2000, and Pokemon 3. Number 9, we've got my X-Men Logan kind of trilogy. So that's X-Men 2, so X-Men United, X-Men Days of Future Past, and Logan. Number 8, I've got Captain America trilogy. Number 7, I've got the Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End. Number 6, I've got Indiana Jones. Number 5, Back to the Future. Number 4, Toy Story. Number 3, the Dark Knight trilogy. Number 2, the original Star Wars films. And number 1, the Lord of the Rings.
Yep. And we're in agreement on a lot of these. For me, my number 10, Pirates of the Caribbean. Great films. Number 9, Die Hard. Number 8, Jurassic Park. Number 7, Toy Story. Number 6, Back to the Future. Number 5, Indiana Jones. Number 4, the Dark Knight trilogy. Number 3, Star Wars. Number 2, the Captain America movies. And number 1, the Lord of the Rings. And that, folks, is our list. And with that list, we have got to thank our sponsor for today.
Yes, we do.
And who is our sponsor once again, please?
Well, hopefully once. I'm going to read it one more time because I feel like there's going to be a consequence if I butcher the sponsor again. Especially who owns this. Okay, so we spoke about The Godfather. Trust me, it's definitely not on our lists. So this week's episode of the Disney Movie Review is sponsored by the Trilogy Trifecta Tiramisu. Ever wondered what a movie trilogy tasted like? Well, here at the Corleone's Industries, we have come up with the perfect tiramisu flavors that will get your horses' heads rushing in delight. Try out our first flavor, which is our famous lambus bread flavor. You cannot pass on this precious delicacy. Our second and most famous flavor is our Vaderade flavor, a tiramisu that will energize you as well as having a dark side tone to it. And finally, our newest flavor, our Cornetto flavor, a flavor so good that your mate Sean will rise from the dead, will have a bit of hot fuzz, and will be there till the world's end. So come and check out our trilogy trifecta tiramisus, 3 for the price of 1. An offer you can't refuse. P.S. This sponsor made me say this speech.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. I love our sponsor. That's just fantastic. Tiramisu, man. If you're a fan, you got to go to your local stores and get this. And
please do, because I might not be here next week.
Yes, you'll be here now. Well, there you go, folks. That is our list of our top 10 top 10 movie trilogies. There was a Disney in there, actually, a couple of them for me. Dan, let's do our drum roll, folks. We're going to do our poll for next week. Remember, we're back on Dan's channel next week at 5 p.m. Eastern time again. We are going to be live over at Dan's for our next Disney movie review. And there's the drum roll in the chat for everybody. And what movie are we going to be reviewing next week? And everybody, I have to say, go out and watch this now so you can come back next week and give your review as well.
Oh, one drops. There we go.
Nope, not the one that dropped.
Right, got it.
Oh, Lord,
here we go.
Here we go. Oh, I hope not, Bruce.
I think we've already done that one.
Oh, we might have.
Okay. Are you ready to get controversial?
Is this Star Wars?
Now, we have done a few of the Star Wars films.
This is Rise of Skywalker, isn't it?
We've done The Last Jedi. I think we've done A New Hope, I believe.
Yeah.
But we're going back to the first controversial film. You can't really see it because it's rubbed off. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Okay. I'm
going to try and... There's a menace right at the bottom here.
I got you.
Sorry. But it's Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. That will be on my channel next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. Oh, yeah. And what Walt and I were discussing before the show, now, back in season 1 of the show, we really enjoyed having special guests joining us on the show. Now, if you would like to join Walt and I on the show, then please feel free to reach out to us if you are interested in the show. It may be a film for an upcoming show. It may be for the upcoming week or down the line. Maybe it'd be worth just telling us what kind of films you are interested in. And then if that film does get picked, then maybe we can contact you. But we are definitely open at looking at some people joining us as some special guests.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have to be next week. Could be the next week. Could be down the road. But for sure, we enjoy that a lot. So next week, everybody, 5 p.m. Dan's channel. We'll get the link and everything out and get everything set up as soon as possible. So look for that during the week. A couple things real fast. I got to say, a couple people in the chat are talking about the Godfather. I got to disagree, gang. 1 and 2 are great, but 3 is just that bad.
It's not a trilogy.
Well, it's not a complete trilogy to me. The third one is
yeah.
I'm sorry. I got to disagree. Al says it, and I know a couple other people. Mark says it, and a few other ones were talking about it. I'm sorry. 3 is just that bad that it doesn't make the list to me. I can't put it on there. There are other movies that their 3 are just that much better. 1 and 2 are great. They're great. Some of the greatest movies ever made, especially number 2. But that third one is a bomb.
So here's the thing. You can take the exact same thing and compare them to The Lord of the Rings, where the first 2 are fantastic. What The Godfather Part 3 should have done, is be that first film where they made the third film as good as the last 2. And Lord of the Rings beat them to it.
Yeah, what they did was they should have stopped at 2. And they shouldn't have made it a trilogy, but it's about the money. But anyway, we digress. Let's do a little bit of mousekeeping before we end.
Can I just quickly say?
Yeah.
I did a bit of an oy vey just now when Mark Lagenkamp said pod racing, so I went oy vey in my mind. So, oh god.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's go.
Mousekeeping.
Mousekeeping, yes, of course. Dean of the Live Place, theliveplace.com. Tomorrow night, gang, 7 p.m. on the Live Place's YouTube channel. We will be on there with Dean and his list, his panel, and we're going to be they're going to be questioning Melissa and I. They're going to be interviewing us, giving us the tough Disney questions and a lot of fun stuff too. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. over at the Live Place YouTube channel. If one of my mods could share that link out, it's going to be great. Be sure to check them out. Our partner channel is this guy right here, Disney Dan. Next Wednesday, 5 p.m. on his channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos. Diz Our Dream, Steve's World, Pete McDevitt, all wonderful partner channels. Thank you to our members, as usual. Members, you're fantastic. Thank you for your membership and your extra generosity. It's just absolutely amazing. Other than that, my man, what's going on, Daniel? Everything else good? Another fun one.
We are just finishing off the final little bits of editing for my first episode of the podcast, the Slimming Stomachs podcast. That'll be coming out hopefully within the next couple of weeks. It's just been super busy with the wedding coming up. But if you are interested in sort of a healthy living, healthy lifestyle, whether it's weight loss, weight gain, physical, mental health, just living your healthiest lives, that kind of thing. I've been working on that kind of thing. So if you want to check out the podcast, go check that out when it's released. I also have an Instagram called the Slimming Stomachs Podcast. So if you want to come check that out, where I'm going to be posting recipes and exercise regimes and post stories and posts, please come check that out. So if you are interested in that kind of thing, that kind of area, then please come follow that.
Nice. And as for us, there will be no stream Saturday. There probably will be a stream Friday, so look for a thumbnail for that. I am going to a special event tomorrow night at Disney, so I will be Melissa and I will be doing the vlogging of that. And of course, Sunday we'll be back at Magic Kingdom, and also Sunday we'll announce the winner of our 15K giveaway. So you definitely want to check that out. And other than that, I want to say hi to Chris Nedlin, Tracy Holly, Jackie McDonald, who just came in. But guys, thank you for joining us. This has always been a blast. We're on Dan's channel next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Yes. As we review The Phantom Menace. We can get through it. And it's going to be a blast.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. But until next time, for the good of all Cree.
For the good of all Cree.
Everybody, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Pokemon movies, go watch them.
I'm not.